Hi, I'm Rebecca Harris, and welcome to this edition of Faces and Places. Today, we are at the War Memorial here in Phenix City, Alabama, and they're having the Flag Day ceremony for the 9th time. And a lot of work goes into getting ready for this Flag Day ceremony, and it's very important to a lot of people. So we hope that you will join us for this ceremony and also share it on YouTube with your family and friends. Learning more about the United States flag is so important. And my guest here today is Earl Hutchinson, and I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about who he is and how this ceremony got started.
Well, I'm the finance officer for Post 135. We started this, like I say, 9 years ago, and working with Sam and Sally Nelson with the Columbus Veterans, or actually it's the Chattahoochee Veterans Council. We were looking at things to do in Phenix City. We had a lot of things going on in Columbus, but we wanted to get on in Phenix City. So I mentioned doing a Flag Day. Sally and Sam helped me get it started, worked with me for a couple of years, and since then it's been much of a American Legion event, and we're always looking for people to help. My biggest problem always is finding a good speaker, and so thank goodness today we had one.
I don't think you had a hard time finding a speaker this year because we have got Columbus Councilman John House, and he is a veteran, and we want to thank you so much for coming out to be our speaker today. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're planning to talk about?
Well, sure. I mean, I certainly enjoyed talking about the flag's history and the connection, of course, to the Army and all the military services, because today's the 244th birthday of the Army and the 242nd birthday of the flag. But flags are always important to soldiers because it's the symbol of the nation. It's what soldiers serve, or it symbolizes what soldiers serve. And so it's always been important to my family and to me for all those reasons.
Well, thank you for your service. Can you tell us what branch of service you served in?
I was in the Army for 26 years. I'm a retired colonel.
Well, thank you so much for your service again.
Sure.
And on behalf of CTV Beam, we're going to get started with this program, but we want to thank Phenix City Parks and Recreation for setting up the tents and the chairs and all the things that it takes to do this little ceremony today. And we're going to join in the ceremony right now.
And the rock is regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
What is Flag Day? This is a resolution that was passed by the Continental Congress on June the 14th, 1777, which reads that the flag of the United States shall be of 13 stripes of alternate red and white, with a union of 13 stars of white and a blue field, representing the new constellation. A flag of this design was first carried into battle on September 11th, 1777, in the Battle of the Brandywine. The American flag was first saluted by foreign naval vessels on February the 14th, 1778, when the Ranger, bearing the stars and stripes and under the command of Captain Paul Jones, arrived in the French port. The flag first flew over a foreign territory in early 1778 at Nassau, Bahama Islands, where Americans captured a British fort. Observation of the adoption of the flag was not soon coming, however. Although there are many claims to be the first official observance of Flag Day, all but one took place more than an entire century after the flag's adoption. First claim was from a Hartford, Connecticut celebration during the first summer of 1861. In the late 1800s, schools all over the United States held Flag Day programs to contribute to the Americanization of immigrant children, and the observation caught on with individual communities. I'm not going to go too much into.
Pleasure to talk to you about Flag Day. It's an important day for me and my family because, spending 26 years in the Army and wandering around, flag becomes real important. Today is the Army's birthday as well as being Flag Day. It's the 244th birthday of the Army because the Army was actually created 2 years before the flag. But it's important to remember the flag because it's a symbol of our nation and a tradition of our citizen soldiers to respond to it and to pay homage to it. A flag, of course, is a symbol for any organization. There are lots of groups, public, patriotic and public service groups that have a flag of some kind. Of course, military units carry flags. And of course, at times, flags have been a means of communication between units. It's a rallying point for soldiers in battle. One of the first, and I hate to say common, but a typical way to receive the Medal of Honor in the Civil War was to capture a Confederate flag. That's why the Army's first two-time Medal of Honor recipient was Tom Custer, George Custer's younger brother, because he captured Confederate colors twice. Congress, of course, authorized the flag, as you heard, June the 14th, 1777, which is why we celebrate Flag Day today. It first flew at Fort Stanwix, New York on August the 3rd, 1777. That's present-day Rome, New York. Early in our history, the number of stars and stripes on the flag indicated the number of states. During the War of 1812, the famous flag that flew over Fort McHenry had 15 stars and 15 stripes. Later, the standardized flag was reduced back to 13 stripes, and the number of stars, of course, represent the number of states. That flag that flew over Fort McHenry was 30 by 40 feet. Mary Pinkersgill actually made the flag. She, a daughter, two nieces, and an indentured servant, and her mother helped sew it. It took them 7 weeks to make that flag and a smaller storm flag for Fort McHenry. The current flag, of course, has 50 stars and 13 stripes. When Alaska and Hawaii joined the Union in 1959, President Eisenhower decided to have a competition to see what the flag would look like because that changed the arrangement of the stars on the blue field. Well, a 17-year-old Lancaster High School, Lancaster, Ohio, young man named Robert G. Heft submitted a design to his teacher for a class project. The teacher didn't like it, gave him a B-, but told him, if you submit your design and the president picks it, I'll raise your grade. So he submitted it, and that is the design we have today for the 50 stars on that blue field. So thanks to a high school senior and a senior project. Now, don't know if Betsy Ross actually stitched her first flag. The truth of that is long lost to history. But regardless, the flag stands for liberty and freedom. It's not the symbol for a royal family. Instead, our flag symbolizes a people dedicated to our Constitution and our way of life. The flag colors are red for valor, white for purity, and blue for loyalty and reverence to God. I want you to consider this poem written in 1917 while World War I raged. It's called A Toast to the Flag. It's written by John J. Daly in 1917. Here's to the red of it. There's not a thread of it, no, nor a shred of it, in all the spread of it from foot to head. But heroes bled for it, face, steel, and lead for it, precious blood shed for it, bathing it red. Here's to the white of it, thrilled by the sight of it, who knows the right of it, but feels the might of it through day and night. Womanhood's care for it, made manhood dare for it, purity's prayer for it, keeping it white. Here's to the blue of it, beauteous view of it, heavenly hue of it, star-spangled view of it, constant and true. Diadems gleam for it, state stands supreme for it, liberty's beam for it, brightens the blue. Here's to the whole of it, stars, stripes, and pole of it, body and soul of it, oh, and the roll of it, sun shining through, hearts in accord for it, swear by the sword for it, thanking the Lord for it, red, white, and blue. When I think of heroes bleeding for the flag, many names, of course, come to mind. Some of those are the heroes of the American Revolution who risked everything they had for the freedoms that we now have today. Even though they lost many battles, in fact, most would say they lost most of the battles that they fought, they didn't give up. Which always reminds me of course, Yorktown. When Cornwallis made the mistake of occupying Yorktown so he could come back to New England to beat up George Washington again, what he didn't count on was George Washington finding a way to come to Yorktown. Washington laid siege on the 28th of September, but when he got to the middle of October, the French fleet that had locked in Cornwallis on the seaward side was going to leave because they were out of food. So they told Washington, you got to break the line. So Washington picked the 4th Connecticut and the 1st Rhode Island to make a nighttime bayonet attack, weapons unloaded, on Redoubt number 10, 400 men. The same number roughly hit Redoubt 9 under French command. Alexander Hamilton led the American attack. The lead men just carried axes. They managed to break through. 9 Americans were killed, 25 were wounded. They killed 8 British and captured 20, but they broke the British line. And they got through before the French did. Well, those guys from the 1st Rhode Island were actually slaves that had been told if they fought for the revolution, they'd get their freedom. And they did. So they understood what they were fighting for. Also think of a few iconic images of the flags. Probably the most famous flag raising photograph in the world, or at least certainly in the United States, is the flag raising on Mount Suribachi in World War II on Iwo Jima. Marines landed on the 19th of February, 1945. My dad landed there the morning of the 20th of February, 1945. He was supposed to land the afternoon of the 19th, but it was too ugly. At first, of course, when they first landed, the landing was easy until then the Japanese defenses cut in. The fighting was brutal. It was man-to-man throughout the island. But Marines from 3rd Platoon E Company, 2nd Battalion, 28th Regiment went up Suribachi on the 23rd of February and raised the flag. It was a small flag, and the battalion commander wanted to save it. So he sent Private Rene Gagnon up Suribachi with a larger flag, and that was the flag that's caught in the famous photograph. So there are actually 2 flag raisings and 2 photographs. But the one that hit the press, that got everybody so excited that we still celebrate today, was the one that was actually accidentally made by the photographer, because somebody told him, Joe, you're going to miss the picture. Joe Rosenthal turned real quick and just snapped the shutter and caught that picture. Amazing how that happened. Flag, of course, has continued to inspire soldiers to do many such brave acts, whether it's the Civil War, World Wars I and II, the War of 1812, the Korean War, Vietnam, and everything since then in the Middle East. You can see 2 famous flags in the National Infantry Museum. When you go up the last 100 yards, you see a replica of Pointe du Hoc, where 225 Rangers land to scale those cliffs under fire. After 3 days, when they're relieved, only 90 of them are still able to fight. But if you go downstairs in the World War II gallery, you can see the actual flag that they raised over Pointe du Hoc after they captured the cliffs. Farther in the World War II gallery, you can also see a flag raised at Corregidor. We thought there were 600 Japanese at Corregidor, so we dropped 2,000 paratroopers on top of the island and had a battalion of infantry land at the base. We thought we outnumbered the Japanese. There were actually 6,000 Japanese there. Based on my reading of the fight, what really saved us was one young soldier with a good hand grenade throw, because he killed the Japanese commander and nobody told the Japanese in the tunnels to come out. Regardless, it was a hard fight, but we managed to take the top of the island in 11 days. But the flag, the first flag raised on Corregidor, is hanging in the National Infantry Museum. 2 soldiers went up a telegraph pole because it was the only thing standing with spikes on it they could get up in order to hang the flag. If you look close, you can see bullet holes in that flag. So 2 heroes without a doubt. And of course, another more recent iconic flag raising was at the World Trade Center. After the afternoon of September the 11th, 3 firefighters, George Johnson, Dan McWilliams, and Billy Eisengrain, are in that photograph with that flag. McWilliams procured the flag from a yacht that was docked nearby, the Star of America, owned by Shirley Dreyfus. Politicians, of course, love to stand by flags. A lot of times you'll see folks like me running around that want to try to find a flag to stand in front of. But regardless of that, it's important to remember that flag because it is the symbol of all that we stand for in this country. One of the most impressive local flag displays is the entrance to Fort Benning, where if you drive down I-185, you can see 20 American flags and fountains, 2 eagles and replicas of the infantryman and the trooper of the plains. So it's a great expression of all that we stand for in this nation. Sometimes it's popular for people to denigrate what we do, but I say shame on most of those folks that say bad things about us, because no other nation in history has been so quick to sacrifice to protect others around the world. Whether a military or humanitarian action, you can call on the United States and we'll show up. Who saved Europe twice in the 20th century? Who led a multinational force onto the Korean Peninsula to protect a small nation from communist aggression? Who bled for years in the jungles of Vietnam to resist domination by communism? Who now has the ability, and the men and women in uniform who are prepared to fight terrorism anywhere around the world in order to protect the weak. When disaster strikes anywhere in the world, who do people call on? The United States. Whether it's house the homeless or feed the starving or help the injured, it's always us, because we have the ability to do it, and that flag represents all that we stand for. I think that stands for purity of spirit. which is part of the reason we have the flag. So our flag holds respect around the world because we have not faltered from the core values we stand for. We need to always remember that, and remember that our servicemen and women put their lives on the line every day to stand for those values and protect them. And we should always take a moment to reflect on that, particularly when we see those serving on active duty today. Thank you for the opportunity to share these thoughts. May God bless the United States of America, and thank you for all that you do.
Why the American flag is folded 13 times. Have you ever wondered why the flag of the United States of America is folded 13 times when it is lowered or when it is folded and handed to the next kin at the burial of a veteran? Here is the meaning of each of those folds and what it means. The first fold of our flag is a symbol of life. The second fold is a symbol of our belief in eternal life. The third fold is made in honor and remembrance of the veterans departing our ranks who gave a portion of their lives for the defense of our country to attain peace throughout the world. The fourth fold represents our weaker nature, for as American citizens trusting, it is to Him we turn in times of peace as well as in time of war for His divine guidance. The fifth fold is a tribute to our country, for in the words of Stephen Decatur, our country in dealing with other countries may she always be right, but it is still our country, right or wrong. The sixth fold is where our hearts lie. It is with our hearts that we pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The seventh fold is a tribute to our armed forces, for it is through the armed forces that we protect our country and our flag against all of our enemies, whether they be found within or without the boundaries of our republic. The eighth fold is a tribute to the one who entered into the valley of the shadow of death, that we might see the light of day and to honor Mother, for whom it flies on Mother's Day. The ninth fold is a tribute to womanhood, for it has been through their faith, their love, loyalty, and devotion that the character of the men and women who have made this country great has been molded. The 10th fold is a tribute to the Father, for He too has given His sons and daughters for the defense of our country since they were first born. The 11th fold, in the eyes of a Hebrew citizen, represents the lower portion of the seal of King David and King Solomon, and glorifies in their eyes the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The 12th fold, in the eyes of a Christian citizen, represents an emblem of eternity and glorifies in their eyes God the Father, the Son, and Holy Spirit. When the flag is completely folded, the stars are uppermost, reminding us of our nation's motto, "In God we trust." After the flag is completely folded and tucked in, it takes on the appearance of a cocked hat, ever reminding us of the soldiers who served under General George Washington and the sailors and Marines who served under Captain John Paul Jones, who were followed by their comrades and shipmates in the armed forces of the United States, preserving for us the rights, privileges, and freedoms we enjoy today.
So we're fortunate enough today to have Gunnery Sergeant Elder here with us today from Central High School, and he's going to explain to us a little bit about these young people here who participated in the Flag Day ceremony.
Yes, ma'am. We have Central High School ROTC cadets for Navy Junior ROTC, and they're all upcoming 10th graders, and so they've been practicing before school ended and during the summer to prepare for this ceremony.
I can see that they've put a lot of work into it and learned a lot during this process. So can you tell us a little bit about what goes into the training?
Well, first of all, you have to get them to volunteer for it. And so they started by coming in before school in the morning when they get off the bus or when their parents drop them off. So they get about an hour's worth of training before school. And then we practice during class. And after school is out, we've been coming up on about twice a week during the summer here to practice for this event.
All right. We want to thank the parents for bringing you guys to school early so that you can do this, because this is very important. So if you'll excuse me, I'd like to speak to some of the students. If y'all can tell me, please, what this means to you to participate in this event today.
Cars ride by here every single day, and they see the flags, but I feel like they don't really know the purpose of it. So I feel like Flag Day, it really brings out the meaning and everything, what it really is supposed to mean.
Okay, and what part of the ceremony did you do today?
I sung the national anthem.
All right. So I would like for each one of you to tell me your names, and we want to say thank you to you on behalf of CTV Beam, and how much we appreciate you taking the time to do this in your summer schedule. And also I want to say that we are very appreciative of your wanting to be a part of the service and explaining to people all the time about what patriotism is all about with the example that you set. So we're going to let this fire truck go by. We're out here in the real world today. Phoenix City's finest is just passing us. And what is your name, young lady?
Trinity Bean.
And you sing the national anthem?
Yes.
Okay, and what is your name?
My name is Berkaya Abercrombie.
And what did you do today?
I read the 13 Folds, and I also sung the national anthem with Miss Bing.
All right. Excuse me. And what is your name?
Kevion Evans.
Speak up, please.
Kevion Evans.
Okay, and what did you do today?
Color guard, right shoulder,
Oh.
and 13 folds.
All right. And what is your name?
My name is Christopher Snipes, and I did honor guard.
And what is your name?
Jalen McLemore,
And what did you do today?
color guard for the organizational flag.
And how about you?
My name is Timothy Lee, and I led the color guard and the 13 folds.
Okay, can you tell me a little bit about why you decided to be in the Junior ROTC?
Well, I wanted to set an example of other people. Not many people want to lead up and become be a leadership role.
Right.
And I want to set an example to my fellow friends and family to what it is to be an ROTC.
Well, that's very commendable. All right, y'all, let's say hooah! Hooah! It's always wonderful to stumble upon a veteran because it gives us an opportunity to say thank you for your service. So I want to thank you for your service, and I'd like for you to tell us what your name is.
Dennis Vaglika,
What branch of service did you serve in?
Air Force.
Is there anything that you would like to share with people today that attended the Flag Day ceremony or our listeners out there?
This ceremony goes dear to my heart. I mean, I may not have fought in a war, but I did serve my country, and I respect the fact that we have a Flag Day every year. We have Memorial Day that remembers everybody, and also Veterans Day for all us veterans.
All right. We want to thank you for your service again, and I would like to just remind everybody that we do have a Veterans Day parade in November, and if you are interested in being in the parade or helping us out with the parade, please contact the Phoenix City Parks and Recreation Department. So I'm going to let you get on and enjoy your day, but I do want to thank you for your service one more time. I just can't say it enough times.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for joining us today on Faces and Places, where we participated in the Flag Day ceremony today. And prepare to come next year because it's a wonderful event and it's very educational for the whole family. So plan to bring your children. They're out for summer. It'd be a great thing to do. So thank you so much again for joining us on Faces and Places, where you never know whose face you'll see or which place will be.